over Kagiso Rabada today, itching to score his first 100 in 11 innings. Rabada stands in the way. Let's find out what's on the show. 3 deliveries, the next 26 of just 19, but respected the new ball. Graham Smith and VVS Lakshman beside us here on Nerolac Cricket Live. And of course, Virat Kohli waiting 11 innings to hit those triple figures again. Again, the new ball is out there. How to perhaps be able to use him in a different manner?
I think a touch of frustration yesterday. Yeah. I mean, through Vizag and into here, you're just kind of watching and
yesterday, this would be a key battle. It's just about 5 overs old at this moment. So that morning session becomes crucial when Virat Kohli and Ajinkya Rahane walk out, particularly if this is the battle that we want to see, as Akash Chopra explains to us and decodes it in our Baiju's game plan. Thank you so much for that, Akash, particularly on what he's just said, Graham. Like, the new ball is just about 5 overs old. You've got to be able to capitalize on this morning session. Now, what are you telling Rabada and your bowlers at the moment?
Well, it's important that Faf sets the tone for the guys. It's a be the frame of mind this morning. Try and restrict India under 350.
Let's go. Let's do this. I can actually, your excitement is palpable. Fair enough, because it is the last recognized batting pair, and Kagiso Rabada knows he has the responsibility of being the most potent weapon. Let's see how he's geared up for this morning. His intentions pretty clear, targeting those 1 or 2 wickets. Graham said he could get in a flurry as well. This is the last recognized batting pair from Team India's perspective. So we'll wonder if we see that discipline today. Lakshman, what does the approach need to be from the Indian batsman?
I think
50th Test match. Plenty for us to talk about as India dominate that session. Just adding 83 runs, both Ajinkya Rahane and Virat Kohli with us. Plenty to talk about here. Let's have a look at our VIP top stories. Looking forward to that debate, what VVS Lakshman and Graham Smith have to say after 50 Test matches in charge. We'll see how Virat Kohli stacks up against someone like Ricky Ponting. But first and foremost, well, first century here in 2019, you saw a little bit of, he'll always respect the new ball. You saw him leaving deliveries, and it's an excellent conversion rate now for Virat Kohli.
Yeah, and we know that he always converts once he gets to a half century. But what I really liked was this was not an easy.
South Africa looked to bowl at him. Those were some of the key contests that we were also anticipating. So, for any young batsman or young cricketer that is watching right now, Lakshman, should they take away from the way he batted in the morning?
I think play to the situation and respect good bowling, because that's what you
does. Bowling plans, anything that was full to Virat Kohli, he capitalized.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't say everything full, probably, full and straight. I would say yes. Did a decent job. There was a bit more there for Maharaj today. So you can't fault their bowling performance in the morning.
Certainly not. Amazon.in Superforce just brings into perspective how crucial this partnership is and why South Africa would have looked to try
after lunch now.
Reflecting Lakshman in his cricket, perhaps, as he made peace with the fact that this is a format he needs to own now, and whenever the pressures and expectations that come along with being that sort of vice captain, he'll have to respond and get his way through it.
Yeah, and he has to perform.
Successful captain with that victory in Australia really being his final frontier, and Australian captains are who we take the cue from in terms of how they've transformed these teams and the impact that they had in their first 50 Test matches in charge. Abilities in terms of the temperament that they had. I mean, Ricky Ponting, Australia, you played against some tough sides. How did they make you feel as an opposition captain?
Oh, Australia, irrespective of which captain was the leader at that time, I think it's always tough playing against Australia. They would not give a hinge. You have to always work hard to score runs, to pick up wickets or win against them, whether in India or in their own backyard. I may be a little biased, but I would go with Virat, especially creating that impact, because I still remember I played against Steve Waugh's Australia, and Steve Waugh's Australia was a very successful side, whether in overseas were there, whether in the batting department, they were still establishing themselves, finding their feet in Test match cricket, and the bowling department, what we are raving about today, the fast bowling department was still raw, whether it's Shami, whether it's Umesh, whether it's
at a side that ruled for 5 seasons, for 5 years.
Yeah, now, look, I think
final frontier is. So Ricky Ponting technically didn't win a Test series in India. Now you won 2 matches in India. You know exactly how difficult it is in terms of a final frontier. Virat Kohli recently won a Test series in Australia. So when you consider it from that perspective,
approach, and they had a bowling attack which could get 20 wickets on any surface. I think the way Virat Kohli built this team, is something which is significant, and that's something which I'm sure he'll be proud of. Now, other thing which differentiates Ricky Ponting and Virat Kohli, I feel, is what Ricky Ponting did after 50 Test matches, and I hope that Virat Kohli will.
Because overseas victories obviously are cherished, but as your time and captain, how do you transform their team so that first 50 Test matches in charge for Ricky Ponting and Virat Kohli in terms of impact, how they've transformed the team, that is how we debate as well. The moment that they came in now, how have they transformed that side in the next 50 Test matches is what we're taking into consideration for this debate. And you've played against that Australian team that had that 504 matches.
That sums it up. 540 Test matches.
Be by that morning spell from South Africa. So now in our Ultra Tech expert speaker, Akash Chopra decodes exactly what Virat Kohli did right in this morning session. Thank you so much for that, Akash. The fans have certainly enjoyed it. Everyone enjoys seeing a century. You've seen two already from Indian batsmen in this Test match, with the fans in Pune have been enjoying. Really, what a moment for these fans to be able to see that, to see Virat Kohli in action for the first time live, and he scores a century. So now, Graham, what needs to happen? The edges aren't carrying. What sort of lines do you need to come back with from your bowlers?
It's desperation stakes. Otherwise, India are going to cruise to declaration total of around 500, I think.
I think that's actually the next question from that perspective. When do you expect it? What sort of
look to give this evening?
I think the key from you in terms of this is a session that you do want to bat particularly. I mean, if we didn't stop VVS Lakshman, you would just walk out there as well along with Graham Smith. We want to find out from Akash Chopra just in terms of how the conditions are going to be right now. Back for the tea break, so it's quite interesting. But we break down that innings for you now. As an Indian Test captain, he surpassed Sunil Gavaskar as the most runs at home. But what has stood out primarily in those innings you saw towards the end? I mean, it's hot outside. It takes a lot of tenacity to be able to pull through the way that Virat has done. What is going one way? What have you made most of?
Rabada has bowled 30 odd overs. Philander has done that. The debutant has done that. Maharaj has bowled 45, probably more, and then not much. And what Graham said was absolutely spot on. That now it's about individual players. It's about probably the batters, especially the opening batters, getting into that zone that.
In terms of the implementation that you do need to make. It's frustrating when you aren't getting those wickets as well, and especially when Virat Kohli is just progressing, as we've broken down his innings for you. He's been one to watch so far in this Test match. And here, when you're in Pune, as Sanjana discovered, Virat Kohli is pretty much in the mind of everyone. For 73 for 4 at the moment. It all is about when the declaration would come. Our analysts feel that they would want to leave at least 12 or 13 overs for their bowlers to give an attempt here for South Africa to look to get some wickets, so put them into bat. All right, we'll see how the day goes. See you later on. The home side has dominated this Test match so far. Virat Kohli has dominated with his best score that we've seen in Test cricket, a 7th double 100 for him. Plenty to talk about at the end of day here on Nerolac Cricket Live. Let's have a look at our top stories.
After his double 100, when Muthuswamy bowled a long hop, that means to control that instincts shows that what level of concentration he was batting today.
It's not just the shots in the arsenal. We of course built up this battle between Virat Kohli and Kagiso Rabada. They understand each other extremely well. He displayed exactly how to play Rabada in phases. Do you plan for a particular bowler when you're in an innings like that in the mid?
But against all the bowlers, but he knows how to execute that game plan to perfection.
Is it about situational awareness as well, Graham? When we break down an innings like that, and sometimes you capitalize on a moment, you got a reprieve off of no ball, and you decided to suddenly switch gears, go on the offensive. His strike rate suddenly rose after that.
Well, he about batting out to that point where you declare and can attack South Africa.
It finally looked like you could enjoy yourself. It has been quite an innings for India's Test captain in his 50th match in charge of Team India. Always records will follow him, milestones along the way for our MRF Zapper trending player. Set the tone for this one, and we heard Ajinkya Rahane speak about it as well, saying that, look, we went in with an extra batsman shot. We knew that Virat and myself had to be able to set the tone. We're all smiles here in the studio, not necessarily the kind of day that it's been for South Africa, as Graham Smith has told us throughout with VVS Lakshman. We've been talking about it. It has been a tough, toiling day. But we start with the man of the moment now, Virat Kohli, also gone across and crossed 7,000 Test runs. innings, isn't it? And let me show you the innings progression, because these gentlemen have been able to break it down for you beautifully for Team India. That has really been working in this format.
Yeah, I think both of them are experienced, and as Ajinkya Rahane
Self out there, innings, if you go on to play a double hundred, both of you have done it before, but how much fitness, mental and physical, because after he scored that double hundred, he still was running the twos and threes. Jadeja was pushing him for a few quick runs as well.
That is one thing that you can't fault.
Milestone and still push yourself up.
I think all the work he has done over the last 4-5 years. He changed his diet, he's changed his strength training program. There's more power program. A lot of credit to Basu, the trainer, who helped Virat Kohli to realize his fitness.
To rest. So, you know,
One of the important aspects, as you know, Graham, is recovery.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, playing a 5-day game is a unique thing. Every day you've got to pick yourself up mentally, emotionally, physically.
Talking to you, gentlemen. So we ran this today in our deep point discussion that after 50 test matches,
We already described. You know,
we tried very hard to just make you argue. It just wasn't
We're very
happening.
logical people.